For paper 5, and please read your assignment sheets well, you're being asked to write your introduction, 2 CSE paragraphs, and your conclusion. Now to clarify, this is the thesis and claims, using the thesis and claims you have come up with, your original thesis and claims in this class. So those are the ideas you came up with in the labs that we've worked on. This paper will not have a double thesis. So when you're writing a critical analysis, for instance, you mention your working thesis, and then you have your main paper thesis, which was this source is good or this source is not good for my final research paper. This next paper, paper 5, will not have a double thesis. It's just your working thesis you're introducing because you're actually writing the beginning of the research paper. Now, I am going to comment extensively on every person's paper. I'm pretty much going to nitpick. I'm going to do my thing. You might, don't feel bad after reading my comments, basically. But the point is, your introductions are supposed to get a lot stronger between your draft and your final paper. And then if you read ahead, you know that paper 6 is using all my comments to fix paper 5 and then trying again in a draft and then turning in your final paper. So if you're doing the math, you're actually turning in 3 different drafts of the same paper and getting comments from me. This is what professional writing looks like. It is not staying up all night and pumping out a paper. When people do that, even if they get a good grade, they did not do enough research to know enough to be able to contribute to their field of study. People who deeply care about what they're doing for work, or they really want to push a field forward, the movers and the shakers of this world, the Steve Jobs, every person who has invented something, they do the hard route. They don't do the easy route. So in this class, it's a requirement. You will actually write 3 drafts of your final paper. Now, this very first one, this first draft of paper 5, requires you to do your best at a good introduction, good 2 CSE paragraphs, and a good conclusion. Now, the paper 5 checklist I have listed under peer review, you should open that up when drafting your paper, not just for peer review. It's a document that can really help you and give you guidance when writing the final paper. Even though you all know this stuff, I've never in class before this document have you seen it all laid out in one place. So let's go over it here just a little bit. So for your introduction, it should include a title. You can call it introduction, and as you've learned, the colon is really cool, and you could put something after that, like a witty little something if you want. That's always an option, using the colon, adding your own wit for every single thing. Now, the introduction then is centered and bold. It's called the level 1 heading, right? Header. And so that's really important to note. A level 2 header, if you wanted to make your introduction have a subsection, maybe background is separate, and you wouldn't call it background, you would tell that it was background in the title, like the history of automation or something. But again, these are just examples. Come up with your own business, and you can use something like background colon and come up with your own business if you're really at a loss for how to do it without a colon. Okay, but level 2 is off to the left, bold, and capitalized. No period. So this was what level 1 looks like. This is what level 2 looks like. We've gone over this, so this is just a quick review. So level 3 then, if you were going to do a level 3, would be not it's the same thing as level 2, except it's not capitalized except for the first word, and it has a period. And in addition to that, this is even more confusing. When you start typing your text, your actual sentences, you type right after the header, not a line down. For level 1 and level 2, you type the next line down. Then if you dare to go as deep as level 4, it's the exact same thing as level 3, except italicized. And again, the typing goes right after, when you start actually typing your prose, right after the header. But not the actual typing is in bold. I just have my auto set on bold. Okay, so the checklist here asks that your introduction has a hook and you introduce your thesis. It's good to introduce your thesis right near the top. We need background information. Most of you in this class do not have beefy enough background information. You have like Jack Black background information, and we need like Arnold Schwarzenegger background information. Like we need big beefy stuff here. We need strong stuff. We need you to add and answer the questions here, not all of them, but a lot of them, the ones that are the most important. Usually good background information answers most of these things with citing it as well. So actually citing it in an in-text citation. You did not go to sleep at night and the information came upon you in a dream, and so you wrote it the next day. You know it from passing, but you have to find a source that proves what you're saying is true and do an in-text citation and introduce it in your work. Okay, so your introduction should also outline your argument. That's your working thesis. Again, your working thesis and your main paper thesis is the same in this paper, so you don't necessarily need this one. Oops, we could just do the working thesis up there. You need to do your opposing viewpoint, the person who disagrees with you, right? If you have an argument, there's another side. Hopefully everyone in this class has a debatable topic at this point. So you have to introduce the opposing viewpoint and give them a lot of ink. And you need to introduce your claims. And so this is what a good introduction looks like in a formal academic paper. So now let's take a look at that in the real world. I'm going to actually just pull up my paper that I wrote for a class so you can see what it would look like. This is an APA form. This is a correct cover page in APA form, and then everything else you see here is required in APA when doing a big research paper. I will not require in this class acknowledgments, an abstract, a table of contents, a list of graphs and tables and stuff. I'm not requiring any of that. That's more for an advanced writing course beyond this course. So let's just dive into the introduction here. Now I'm going to leave this up on the screen and then scroll down a little bit, and you can pause this video and read it. In the next video, I will go over the deeper analysis of this, but I want to give you the opportunity to just read it. Now, as you see, all of this is still the introduction, and then I hit my literature review. Okay, so in the next video, we'll analyze all the elements that I put in my own paper that are in a good introduction.